Schoolie Scouts. I'm here in my mom's house because, look, I could keep warm out there. I mean, there's heat and everything, but it's a lot more work. In here, the heat's just on. It's just cranking. So I'm in here for now. And I'm going to have to do what I've done so often already, being here in Boston over the winter. I have to press reset and find a different video to bring you. Because I was going to show you someplace cool, but instead of showing you a cool place, I'm going to show you my Indiegogo haul, and at the end, I'm going to demo one of the products I got on Indiegogo, which is why you should stick around. And if that's not enough for you, I don't really even know what else to say, because that's all I got.
Maximalist Minibus with Mary and Captain and you. Get on the bus!
I'm on a mission for the new edition. Level up, I want that 2.0.
Here's a little overview for those of you who don't know what Indiegogo is. It's crowdfunding, and if you don't know what that is, it's when you fund a venture by having a lot of people each give you a little bit of money, unlike the typical model, which is like big money from one or two sources, like angel financing. Crowdfunding is an investment, but is different because it's not your typical financial return. Instead of getting money back, you're prepaying. You're just pre-buying something that you're going to receive later, and the company is using the money you prepay to actually develop and manufacture the product that they're going to send you later. At its best, crowdfunding can be really terrific because it's good for the consumer. You get a discounted product before everybody else gets it, and I don't know about you, but I like cheap and I like to be first. So a lot of the time too, the feedback that you give during the production process actually has a tangible effect on the final product. So you get to see your take on things right there in the product, which is really cool, and it's good for the company because they get to make the whole thing happen without giving up ownership. Plus they get feedback and word of mouth from consumers who are highly invested. At its worst, that kind of backfires. At its worst, the product never gets made, the customer loses their money, and it's a nightmare for the company because everyone is super disgruntled because they were more invested than a regular buyer, and they tend to feel personally offended if the product never gets produced. If they're not able to produce the product, most companies are going to give you back your money that they got through crowdfunding because unhappy, super invested people are not people you really want spewing their negative opinions all over the place. I tend to look for bus life tech stuff on Indiegogo, solar products, USB rechargeables, things like that. But I do occasionally find other things. What you have to remember mainly, though, when you're looking on Indiegogo is that these are not tried and true products, by and large. So, yeah. Case in point, this mask. I was excited when I found it because no one else at the time was making a mask you could see through, and I needed a mask you could see through. See, because my mom can't hear. She mainly lip reads, so when I take her to the doctor, if the person doesn't speak distinctly enough, and nobody actually really does, I end up having to repeat everything to her in a way that she can follow. But since COVID, she can't see my mouth. So I thought it would solve the problem because you can see through this, right? And maybe it would if it were not basically child-sized, right? I don't have a particularly big face, but when I smile, like my mouth actually comes out of the little chamber anyway. And also it smells super plasticky in here. I don't think I could wear this all day, and I definitely can't put this in the win column. Now, this one I can put in the win column. This is great. This is a fantastic Dashcam with a rear camera and everything, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to unbox it and give you a whole big spiel about this when I put it in the bus. But the weird thing is, why exactly was this crowdfunded? The company Lanmodo can certainly afford to just produce it. They don't really need to do crowdfunding at all. But it works out. I mean, it worked out for me because the predecessor model for this sells on Amazon for $200 more than I paid for it on Indiegogo. So I can't really complain too much. Okay, let's talk solar. Lots and lots of solar products have had their debut on Indiegogo, including, so-called solar generators, all-in-one units, and they're getting increasingly smaller and more affordable. I had a 1,000 watt-hour unit that died. I really loved it, but then it just died in March or April, and after waiting a very long time, it was under warranty. It became clear that the manufacturer was not going to be able to replace it because the factory was really basically never going to reopen after COVID. So I found this on Indiegogo. The specs were good. It fit in my solar cabinet. And they said it was going to deliver in December. Then they changed it to January, but that was still okay. And then I noticed that the manufacturers of this company called All Powers, were just absolutely terrible at answering questions on Indiegogo that people asked, and really terrible about providing updates, and they kept pushing the date back further and further. So I tracked them down on Facebook, and on Facebook they said stuff to me that totally contradicted everything they'd been saying on Indiegogo. It's hard to know if they were just incompetent or they're scammers. The whole thing just got weird, and I was one of the few people who was staying optimistic and supportive, and it's going to be great when it's ready, and then they told me that, well, you'll get your unit eventually. And when they said that word eventually, it just pissed me off, right? And I don't want to be one of those people who doesn't understand that crowdfunding means you might not get it. But I think the least we can expect is honesty. And I didn't want to give these people any money, so I ended up making a blackmail video, basically. I just want to warn you not to back the All Powers Monster X campaign. And I told them if they didn't give me back my money, I was going to post this on Monday morning. They refunded me Sunday night at 10:30. But yeah, that was a terrible experience. But once I got the money back, I started looking for what's the best value I can find in a solar unit. Not necessarily on Indiegogo, but anywhere. And I have an episode coming up where I'm going to talk about why I prefer all-in-ones. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments from people telling me I should build my own system, but that's not happening right now, and I'll tell you why when I make that video. So the next product was kind of under my radar at first. The shape of it is awkward for my existing setup, but then I noticed it was only $545 for a 1,000 watt-hour item, and that kind of cleared away some of my reservations. I didn't buy right away. I mean, it looks great to me, and the company representative was really responsive, and his comments were thoughtful, and I liked everything I saw, except that physical design. See, the AC power is on this side, the DC power is on this side, and the monitor's on the front. So you got to access it on 3 sides. I decided I was going to wait until Will Prowse reviewed it, but instead Will Prowse announced that he wasn't going to review anything that was on Indiegogo anymore. I think he picked a bad time to quit because this thing is pretty great. It's called the MONTEK X-1000, not to be confused with that crappy Monster X. Those names are way too similar. I bought 2. Oh, I forgot to mention it's waterproof. I'll do an episode on it, a whole episode, but for now, I should point out for people who were on this campaign that I got mine early so that I could talk about it here, but I did pay for it. The other thing I tend to look for bus life is very compact, useful things, typically USB charged, and in that category, I found this little baby, the Gigapump 2.0, and I'm going to try this one out so we can find out together if it was a good investment. This is a pump. This is an air pump. Believe it or not, I have a few things that need inflation. I have this I have a bathtub. You've never seen it, but I'm going to show it to you one of these days. And it has an inflatable rim, and I also keep an air mattress in case I have a guest. But I saw this, and it claims to be able to inflate an air mattress, and it's so small. I mean, it looks like it's made for, like, fairies to use or something, so I thought it was really cute. And it has all these little nozzles and things that go with it, and so if this can inflate a mattress, I'm going to consider that a win. So let's try this out. So far, so good. The mattress is plumping up. Oh. Whatever you do, don't take your hand off of it. Not the firmest bed I've ever seen, but I could have gone further. It's just I got bored. That took 12.5 minutes. Hey, I didn't say it had to work fast, I just said it had to work. Much to my surprise, the Gigapump 2.0 works. I wouldn't rely on it if you have heavy pumping needs, but for the occasional pumper, for the patient occasional pumper, it's just fine. It's made by a company called Micro Novelty, so think basically it's a novelty, but it does work. There's more on the Lanmodo Dashcam and the MONTEK X-1000 solar coming, and there are links in the description of everything I talked about. And here's the first video of the rebuild that I'm doing right now. So if you're not following along yet, you can, and I'll see you over there, or I'll see you on the next installment, or I'll see you, because you can't get rid of me that easy. Okay. Oh, I forgot to show you. This has a light. No, that's not the light. There it is.